All right, people. So we are here with a Star Wars Rebels discussion, and seeing how it's the midway point of the season. We got 8 episodes, so we had our mid-season finale. We figured, as good as time as any to talk about, catch up, and should you keep watching the show? Which, before we even get into that, I'm just gonna say, from all three of us, yes, you should.
Dude, forget yes.
Yes.
Hell
Yes.
yes, actually.
Yeah. Now, the first thing I want to say is I remember when this show was first shown off, the pictures, right? And people saw it, they're like, oh, this is stupid. I want my Clone Wars back. The same reaction people had to Superior Spider-Man. You give it 5 issues/episodes in, everybody's like, yeah, fuck Clone Wars, man. It's all about the Rebels.
Or you're like me and never liked Clone Wars to begin with, and I'm like, no, yes, please, this is everything I wanted. And I feel vindicated because looking into it, this was actually the show that the creators wanted to do. They wanted to do something like Rebels, but it was the Lucas company who came down and said, no, it's got to be a continuation of the Clone Wars. It's what it's got to be. You got to have characters from the show or from the movies, essentially.
Right, right. Now, I think to me, just looking at Rebels from the start, it was obviously going to be, the new thing. It's Disney's first venture into their universe, right?
Yes, it's canon now. That's the one thing
I
that you
think
can say it's all canon.
Honestly, I think that's the biggest criticism that the show got before it debut was people going, but I want my expanded universe. I'm like, yeah, and how many times do you want to hear what Han Solo was doing exactly 30 days before A New Hope? Because there's 30 tellings of it.
Yeah, it was definitely the whipping boy because it was the first piece of this new Disney continuity. It's like, but I don't want my Disney continuity. I want the old continuity, which don't get me wrong, guys. I was right there with you. I want my legacy. I want my KOTOR. I want all that stuff. But luckily, Rebels ended up being really good.
Yes, it did. And one of the best parts I think about this show is it felt like when I watched Clone Wars, they had to force lightsaber action in there. They took their time to get to the first lightsaber sequence, and when it finally shows up, it's brief and like, yeah, whatever, lightsaber, that's cool. Here's the story, right?
They're still really, spacing out the lightsaber fights and making them that much more special when it happens. I know at the end of this newest episode, Gathering Forces, there was a great big lightsaber fight. And it's like, man, they're really treating it like the OG trilogy, treated lightsaber fights as, something special, not something to shove down your throat.
I completely agree with that. And not shoving down your throat. Let's talk about, the great characters they have in this damn show.
They all feel, reminiscent of classic Star Wars, and yet they're pretty new as well.
And don't forget, on Empire Day, the episode, we learned that Ezra has the same exact birthday and is the same age as Luke Skywalker.
I know, ain't that some shit? Yeah.
That's pretty cool, little info right there.
Which makes you think, if this is part of the new canon, could that possibly mean that Ezra might very well show up in the new movies at some point as like an old man?
I wouldn't be surprised if he was to show up in like the Bounty Hunter movie or something as a background character, maybe. I think there's a lot of possibilities with what they can do with this character.
Because it's not even just Ezra. A lot of these characters are getting huge multimedia pushes. Kanan had a book. Him and Hera were in a book together, and he's going to be getting a new Greg Weisman written comic series soon, Kanan the Last Padawan.
And don't forget, this is part of, Disney's ongoing thing that a lot of people have been speculating, which everything they produce from this point on is going to be canon in the Star Wars movie universe. So it's like, this is, pretty freaking interesting.
Very, very much so.
Yep. So for those people that are wondering, I said there was 3 of us. Matt is here, but he had to mute his mic because there's a storm of kangaroos around his house. So
he's been taken by the dark side, Matt. I knew him once. He was a good friend, but he's twisted now. More machine
I
than
don't know
man.
if you can hear it, but it's like really loud.
Oh yeah.
Again, dark side, man. Matt has totally been taken by the dark side.
So, and speaking of the dark side, how about that Inquisitor?
A great original villain voiced by the awesome Jason Isaac. That's, Draco Malfoy's dad in the Harry Potter movies, in case you're wondering.
Well, there you go. Huh.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
A really cool actor, really scary too, and again, much like Vader, they don't overuse him. He's not like in every episode going like, "Grr, I'm gonna get them rebels, I tell you what."
Because he's the guy under Vader, but then he has his own guy under him, but he's like, "No, you do my bitch work."
Yeah, Agent Callus, who I gotta say, I quite love, the whole Imperial spy thing they got going with him, but even interesting how they give so much character to even the villains. What I dig about that guy is it's like he can't be killed. He's in all these situations where he should die, but he totally pulls through.
Well,
And he's also kind of the foe of Zeb because they share like a little history.
right, I agree. They definitely flesh out, the villains and the heroes, really well, to that aspect. And one of the episodes, of course, where we have the training to see the Stormtrooper and how the Empire, is using that to find Force-sensitive people and kill
breaking
them.
ranks. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, and I think the show is a lot more violent than anybody thought it was going to be.
God, yeah. Stormtroopers get dropped left, right, and center. Like, they are expendable people.
Hell, in the first 4 minutes of the first episode, there's a terrorist bombing by the rebels, and the stormtroopers just dying there. So
yeah,
it's
people get shot. Actually, you know what's something funny about the rebels is that the majority of the rebels are actually voiced by Steve Bloom. Bloom is also the voice of Zeb. So you get instances where Steve Bloom is beating up Steve Bloom.
Classic.
And again, Zeb, we got to talk about Zeb because I think Zeb is really the big breakout. Although, honestly, they're all breakouts in their own way, but he's definitely a fan favorite. And he is actually based on old Chewbacca designs.
Yes, I was going to say that. He's based on old Chewbacca. And, much like, what's his name? Oh, God, I forgot the droid right now.
Chopper.
Chopper is also, based on an older, way back when concept art they were working on. And just like in one episode, we actually get to see the original R2 and C-3PO.
I know, it's hard to believe that those guys are like the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the Star Wars universe, where they're showing up, aids legitimacy, and even more so, they're showing up actually lends credence to a long-held fan theory that R2-D2 and C-3PO were actually, secret undercover agents for the Rebellion.
Yup.
Which, again, I'm not going to spoil that episode for those who haven't seen it, but in the episode, they show up, another, Star Wars character shows up with ties to the Rebel Alliance.
Well, yes, that too. And don't forget, in that same episode, we see the original models of R2 and C-3PO.
I know, ain't that cool?
So, the show is loaded with fan,
shout-outs and Easter eggs.
Yeah, it's so good. It's literally made for the fans.
From the sound effects to the music to the shots. Again, we mentioned in our commentary, and we did a commentary for the first 2 episodes, like literally the first opening shot, and it's one they use over and over again, is a reference to the opening shot of A New Hope with the big Star Destroyer flying over and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the show to me has really... I think it's come out, and surprised and shocked everybody. I can't tell you the last time, I was this excited for an animated series. Like, it's been a while. So
to me, this is met and, exceeded my expectations. And again, too, because the last big animated show I was into, Legend of Korra, will be over very soon. It's nice to know I've got another show to hop on to. It's nice to know someone is keeping... TV animation alive, even though this is, CG animation, which is beautiful. I know I said in our commentary, most CG animated cartoons take about a season and a half before they start looking right. This one looked right out of the gate.
The last 2 episodes had camera movement that you would never see in an animated TV show. Like, there's a scene where Zeb is running, and he's, shooting, and there's explosions going on, and it's, a long take, 15-second scene. And, in most animations, it would be static. He runs towards a camera, another static scene, and he runs, and then an explosion happens.
You'd have to trick it, yeah.
Right. In this, no, it flows. They have all these 3D models in there. It's so top-notch quality. At every turn, the show takes, I'm just wow. They really found their footing. And I'm just starting to wonder, how is the second season going to, shape up? Because in the first season, obviously, we see that Ezra is, he's Force sensitive, right? Obviously,
mm-hmm.
And we see in the last episode he kind of loses a little bit of control of that.
He puts a foot in the dark side, which again, is something they did in in my favorite Star Wars spinoff, Legacy. But yeah, I like this idea that if untrained and unleft, he could fall to the dark side without even knowing it.
Right, because I mean, if you're not trained to use the Force, hey, I think the dark side would be a lot easier and. To get tempted for, and that's what we kind of see with him. And he's also very, I don't want to say he's naive, but he kind of is when it comes to certain things. He he's very quick to do certain things that he knows are kind of wrong that get him into a sticky situation. Yeah. Which honestly, to me, that makes a great character too. So it's like, oh, this is perfect right here.
Well, it's funny. We were all saying that we got a real Aladdin vibe off
Oh
him.
yeah.
Although I would say he's not quite as charming as Aladdin is the thing. I would say, again, he's a little more blunt, a little bit more forceful, which, is great too because we're seeing like a master-student relationship that we never got to see in the movies because, Kanan is not the old wise Obi-Wan Kenobi or Qui-Gon Jinn. He's a fairly young guy himself, and we get the feeling that his training got cut really short because of Order 66 and all the others.
Oh, yeah.
So he's kind of making it up as he goes along, and it's great too. They have a whole entire episode in the season based around Yoda's do or do not, there is no try.
Uh-huh.
And kind of picking that apart because, again, Ezra is kind of a smartass, and I'm like, that's so clever that they're doing this.
So
he's like, well, it made sense when Master Yoda said it.
So, Joel, in closing, because I don't want to talk, about a bunch of spoilers and stuff. I really want people to check out the show. 8 episodes have aired out of this 16, episode first season.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-season happened. It's a show that I say more people need to check out. Definitely, it's so good, so refreshing. I think it's everything I wanted Star Wars, Clone Wars, and the prequels to be.
Indeed, I was getting to this. This show's so good it actually gets me off. Off filleting the Genndy Tartakovsky shorts, which I thought that was as good as it would get for animated Star Wars. I'll say before we sign off. What's probably your favorite thing from the show and something you hope they do down the line?
Okay, favorite thing from the show, the character-centric episodes. I know a lot of people, and I've seen reviews on websites and stuff, they'll talk about, and they don't like the episode with Hera and Sabine where they're kind of doing their character bonding. That might actually be my favorite episode, because they were two characters I didn't really, we never got them really explained at all, right?
No, we didn't. Well, the funny thing is that, I was actually going to come to this, too. Hera has a book to explain how she met Kanan and all the other stuff. Sabine, the thing I wanted was more of her because she explains her origin in just a couple lines where it's like, yeah, I was an Imperial cadet back on Mandalore and, I followed orders without thinking and I ended up doing some really horrible shit.
I think, for that reason, that's one of my favorite episodes because I think that's going to be a little thing that they tie it back to down the road.
I sure hope so. I can't wait to see how that pays off.
Because I feel like that this is Disney and we've seen with multiple things that Disney takes over. They plant seeds, and as small as they are, in the future they're going to be a payoff. So I definitely feel like that's it, And I think the one thing I want them to work on is, and I guarantee they will by probably the last episode of the season, is I want an epic lightsaber battle. Like, I want to get built up, and I want to see Kanan and, the Inquisitor really go at it. Like,
you want someone's arm to be chopped off is what you want, as is such classic Star Wars. And I would not be surprised if it happened.
I want Star Wars version of, felony fights. I want cantina fights, okay? That's what I want.
He's sleeping with the Force.
Stop dropping the knee on him, bro.
Just Force dropping the knee over and over again. My favorite thing, I think, has to be the Inquisitor. I think he's, one of the more interesting and more terrifying. Well, I was going to say Sith, but he's not a Sith, and that's what's so interesting about him. That, he's like this Imperial attack dog and everything, who is, Force sensitive and everything, but, doesn't quite buy into the whole Darth dogma yet. I would really like to see more shit with him. I'm not saying give us an origin episode or one, but I would kind of like to see how he relates to Vader. I know they recut the first 2 episodes into a movie, and we actually got an opening scene with him talking to Vader.
Right.
Which was quite cool.
Yep, and that was aired on ABC.
Yeah, aired on ABC, which actually that now counts as a movie, which means I had to go back and renumber all my reviews, actually.
Oh, yeah. I'm
which,
too
hey,
lazy to do that.
It's like, hey, Star Wars, never change. Make us relabel everything.
Oh, yep. So, yeah, and what's the, is there anything you really want to see improved? Really?
Again, the only thing I want is I want another Sabine-focused episode because we got such a little taste of that. I'm like, no, keep talking. Tell me more. I'm hanging on your every word.
Yep. All right, so thank you guys for joining us for this Star Wars Rebels discussion. Definitely check the show out if you haven't.
We wish Matt could have been here for this because he's a super huge Star Wars fan too.
Yup, and of course, Australian outback prevents him from doing it.
Our thoughts are with him as kangaroos rain from the sky.
It's a terrible death. Terrible. Just terrible. So, thank you for joining us, guys. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you've seen the show, let us know what your thoughts are on it down below. And, yeah, we'll get back to you with more reviews and then, the full season discussion once it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, Joel here reminding you that this video was made possible thanks to our many great patrons. If you want to become a patron and get exclusive comic book cast content, then click the Patreon link below and see how you can help us bring you the content you've come to love. Every little bit helps, and thanks for listening.